Okay, so today we're going to be doing something I don't usually do. I don't do a lot of review type videos on the channel because it's not that kind of channel. I only do a review video when it's a product that relates to off-grid or Earthship topics. So we're going to look at this Cuddy 4G LTE dual band Wi-Fi router. This is a cellular router. This is going to be able to take a SIM card from T-Mobile or AT&T, and possibly some other carriers, and provide internet access at the house here. Now, this is a replacement device that I purchased because I thought I had a hardware failure with the device I had in place at the time. It turns out that that wasn't the case, that T-Mobile had screwed up and broken my internet connection. I was without internet for a week. So we're going to take a look at this. We're going to test it and see if it's any good. This is about the pretty much cheapest 4G LTE router that you can get. It's like $160. It's very inexpensive. And we're going to see if it works as well as the other more expensive device. And, well, spoiler alert, it doesn't go well. All right, so we're going to test this Cuddy cellular router. So far, I haven't been super impressed. Um, it's been on my network now for 2 days. Set it up yesterday. I was away from the house for the whole day, so I wanted to let it run for the day with my network, the cameras all reporting and see how it went. And the cameras, for the most part, did work, although they didn't seem to be working as well as normal. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go and do a speed test. Now, the reason that I'm even going through this is because as soon as I switched over from the old device, which I had originally thought was a hardware problem, I thought that it had failed. But it turned out that it was a mistake that T-Mobile had made, and in my opinion, a completely inexcusable mistake that T-Mobile had made that caused me to be without internet for a week, and it was not a hardware failure, which is why I purchased this device in the first place. Now, as you can see, this didn't work. Didn't even get to the test. So we're going to do it again, and let's click on the test. Now, what I have noticed is that it's taking a very long time to contact the server, and I am also noticing, wow, this appears to be the single worst result I have ever seen from one of these tests. Well, one of these tests that was actually successfully run anyway. 0.05 is, I mean, that's like less than dial-up. This is very, very poor. The upload speed, that's about, I don't know, that's, let's try it again. Give it a fair shot here. Now I have just rebooted the router. I just did it. So this is a freshly booted router and it didn't even connect to the, let's try it again. So this isn't the first thing I did to test this. Actually, the first thing I did was to simply try to use it. And I went on, oh, look at that. A little bit better. It didn't last though. Yeah, this is pretty typical of what I've been seeing from this device. So I've run this test a bunch of times now, and this is pretty typical of the results that I've been seeing. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this now because I don't think there's much point in sitting and waiting. No, I guess there wasn't any point at all because it didn't even do the rest of the test. Okay, so now let's just go and we'll go to YouTube. And this is just my page. I'm just going to scroll down here and find a video to play. We're going to go ahead and just use the Airhead toilet review that I did here and see how it performs. I've got the audio shut off, and I'm going to put the quality at sort of a middle of the road 360. So far, not going so well. It loaded the page okay, but actually beginning the video stream, it's having trouble. Let's try it again. I'm just going to start over. Maybe we'll pick a different video. Okay, well, let's open a new tab, close that one. All right, let's just grab any video is fine. Yeah. So as you can see, I was actually getting some videos to load, and then they'd pause and buffer, and they'd play another few seconds, and they'd stop and buffer, and they'd play out another minute, and they'd stop and buffer. And that's kind of the experience I've been having this morning with it. It was also the experience I had yesterday morning with it before I left for work, but I decided to go ahead and leave it on anyway to see how it went for the day. Now it has loaded the video now. Well, it has loaded a few seconds of video anyway. And this is what happens. This is how it goes. This is just sort of the norm for this thing. So there's some video playing, and let me just see here. We've got, so it's at 140. It's not even at, it's at 144. This is 144. This is the lowest possible setting for YouTube, and it can't do it. So I'm giving it the best possible shot at succeeding here, and utter fail. So, all right, enough. We're going to stop this, and I'm going to go ahead and hook up the old router, and we're going to compare the two. And I think what we're going to find is, I mean, beyond night and day. So let's try that now. Okay, so we have the old router hooked back up, and it's only been about 5 minutes, so nothing has changed here. I'm going to run the speed test first. Boom, look at that. It connected immediately. It's not super fast, but it did connect immediately. I wouldn't ding the hardware for the speed that we're seeing here, because it's right in line with what I see typically out here on the cellular line. It's slower than normal, but it's not so rare that I'd get that speed. Let's try it again. I bet you if we do it again, it's going to be different. And it looks like it is different. So this is sort of on the high end, very much the high end of what I typically see on my T-Mobile data line. It's coming down a little bit now, so maybe it will fall in right in line with what I know. 10 is a little high. So normally I'm seeing somewhere between 6 and 10. 10 is on the high side. The upload looks like it's going okay for ish. So let's try one more time. We're going to do 3 tests. Yeah. Now, only thing that's changed here is the router, the cellular router. That's the only thing that's changed here. And I ran this test multiple times on the old device, tried to load YouTube video, ran speed test. Obviously, the speed test is going much better on the old hardware. So let's go and let's grab a YouTube video. Let's pop over to my channel here, and I'll just pick one and let it load. I'm going to leave the volume off, and we're going to go ahead and leave it at 360, which is where we tried to set it on the other device, but it ended up dropping to 144 because it just couldn't do it. Now you can see it's running, and see how much it's got buffered. It's got all the way up to the full minute buffered already. Let's go crank it up. 720, all the way up. Let's go right up to the top. And loaded right away. And you can see it's buffering just fine. Look at that. Go. No problem. Staying well ahead of the stream. No problem. Just buffering right up. We're already buffered half of the video, more than half now. So this is obviously working at 720p, totally fine. Now I don't run at 720p because I have a data cap. I typically run at 360, which is fine for me because I have that 100 gig limit. So I have to operate within that 100 gig space that I have. But obviously this device, no problem, working just fine. It's pretty snappy. I could load web page right up. Obviously, this is slower than your connection probably is, whoever is watching this video, because you're probably on a cable modem or DSL or something fancy like that. But it is loading just fine, and it is running the videos, YouTube videos just fine, and the speed test ran just fine. I'll just run another quick one here, and you see how quickly that comes up in comparison to the other device. And the only thing changed here is the device. Everything else is the same, using the same laptop, using the same websites, the same connecting it to the same network, even used the same SSID. Everything is the same except for the hardware. And you can see here it's not super fast. But this is what I normally see is speeds like this from T-Mobile out here. It's not super fast, and it's certainly not going to be as fast as most people have at home, where they've got a cable modem or DSL or something that's going to be hardwired. Where I'm dependent on a cellular tower that's probably further away from me than it should be for using it for this kind of thing, which is why I have the antennas on the roof. But this is very normal experience with the internet for me here. So you can see it's going between anywhere from around 2 to well above 10 and averaging somewhere in that 6 to 10 space typically. And even when it gets down and averages lower than 6, and as long as it's above 2, I find that completely usable. So it's totally fine for me. But again, the device is the only difference. And as we saw on the speed test on the previous device, on the new one that I purchased, that Cuddy device, literally the worst speed test I've ever seen. Um, we performed on that. So it's clearly the device, not the connection. Repeated tests on both devices all indicate that it is not the connection, not with T-Mobile rather, but with the device that I'm using on this end. So if I'm going to do a review on this device, I guess I would have to say don't buy it because of my results here. Now, it's possible, and I will give them the benefit of the doubt, that potentially this is a lemon, just a bad one. And that happens. But the fact that it completely functions and it does everything it's supposed to, it just does it with a performance that is very, very poor. I'm guessing that it's not a lemon. But again, I can't state that categorically, so we have to give them the benefit of the doubt. But in my opinion, I would probably recommend against this device. It is a very inexpensive device, probably the least expensive device of the available options, and I think you're going to get what you pay for. So that's just my 2 cents. Take it for what it is worth.